All right, let's dive right in. What if the universe wasn't just described by math, but was actually, made of it? Today, we're exploring this wild concept called the Cosmic Master Code, a sort of hidden architectural blueprint for all of reality, built from nothing but pure numbers and symmetry.
So we have to start with the biggest question there is, right? Is there a source code to existence, a fundamental language that reality itself is written in? Well, we're going to walk through a system that suggests the answer is a huge yes, and it reveals a structure that is just breathtakingly elegant.
Okay, so every code has to start somewhere. To even begin to understand this one, we need to meet its most basic, most fundamental building blocks. You can think of these as the particles of this mathematical universe. They're the foundation from which everything else is going to emerge. So the code begins with these two primary opposing forces. Imagine them as fundamental vibrations. On the one hand, we have the light. It's this expansive, creative energy, and it has a core value of 240. And on the other hand, you've got its counterpart, the shadow, which is more of a corrective, balancing force with a value of negative 504. Mathematically, these are what are known as Eisenstein series E4 and E6. One pushes out, the other pulls back in. Simple enough, right? So what happens when these two fundamental forces actually start to interact? Well, they create the first major cycle in our journey, a beautiful pattern of resonance that leads to a kind of mathematical completion. The system is about to create its very first echo of itself. At what's called level 7, we find the resonance. Now, this isn't a totally new building block. It's what happens when the light and the shadow perfectly overlap. It's this incredible harmonic fusion. It's like the system is listening to itself and creating its first truly complex echo. And that echo? It has a very specific frequency. Its core number is negative 264. That is the precise value that perfectly harmonizes the tension between that expansive 240 of the light and the corrective negative 504 of the shadow. It's a perfect balance. Right after that resonance, we arrive at level 8, Die Vollendung, or the completion. And this is a really crucial point. It marks the end of this whole initial expansion, closing the first big cycle of this mathematical structure. It's this moment of really satisfying closure, right before something totally new is about to appear.
Okay, so here you can see that whole cycle laid out. Just watch the core numbers for a second. You go from 240 down to negative 504, it resonates at negative 264, and then boom, at level 8, there's this dramatic collapse back to negative 24. You see that? This return to a value related to that original light is a really clear signal. The first cycle is done, and the system is ready for the next phase.
And that next phase, well, it's a major turning point. We are now leaving the predictable world of these foundational vibrations, and we're about to encounter something completely different, an anomaly that represents the very soul of this entire system. To get what happens next, we need a new kind of building block. So if those first forms were like steady musical notes with a constant hum underneath them, this new one is totally different. It's called a cusp form. It doesn't have that constant background energy. It's more like a pure, sharp sound that just appears out of complete silence, a vibration that literally emerges from nothing. And at level 9, we meet the first and most important of these cusp forms. It's symbolized by the Greek letter delta, and it's called the soul. This quote here just captures it perfectly. It's what's left over when that expansive force of light and the corrective force of shadow are in perfect, total equilibrium. It's pure essence. But just as we find this pure soul, the whole system hits a snag. Level 10 is called the riddle. And for good reason. A mathematical singularity just appears. It's a disruption that creates this enormous tension and threatens all the harmony we've seen so far. So what on earth could be causing it? The source of this tension, this great riddle, is a single prime number, 691. It just shows up, completely unexpectedly, in the formula for the next level of the code. And it seems totally, utterly out of place. It's a system anomaly. But is it just a glitch in the matrix? So, and this is the crucial point, 691 is not a glitch at all. It's actually described as a holy anomaly. Far from breaking the system, it's the very thing that stops it from flying apart. It's the glue that holds everything together, creating this deep, hidden connection between the soul and the overall structure. Finding 691, that's like finding the master key to the entire source code. So now that we have this master key, the code can start building on itself in much more complex ways. We're now entering what's called the subtle matrix, where those original elements, the light, the shadow, and now the soul, are no longer just interacting. They're being multiplied and woven together into these incredibly intricate new forms. And you can see just how fast this system evolves now. First, the soul combines with the light to create an echo. Then it combines with the shadow. Pretty soon, the soul starts interacting with itself, creating a spark. And from there, it just gets more complex, forming the grid and the choir, before finally culminating in the Trinity, a third power expression of the soul, which is its most potent form yet. So far, this has been a pretty wild journey through some really abstract math. But for our final act, we're going to zoom all the way out and reveal a truly shocking connection between this code and the very fabric of reality itself. Yeah, things are about to get weird. It turns out this entire code we've been looking at is actually a shadow of something else, one of the largest and most bizarre objects in all of mathematics, the monster. Now, it's what's known as a symmetry group, which you can think of as a catalog of all the ways you can turn an object and have it still look the same. And the monster, it's so vast, its catalog has more entries than there are atoms on the planet Jupiter. The link between our code and this absolute beast is famously known as monstrous moonshine. So how on earth are they connected? Well, the proof is found in a different, but related mathematical vibration. When you map it out, its first and most important component is this massive number, 196884. For decades, mathematicians saw this number and just thought, okay, weird, must be an arbitrary quirk of the formula. But then came the bombshell. Someone realized that 196,884 is just 196,883 plus 1. And that number, 196,883, is the exact number of dimensions needed for the monster to first reveal its symmetries. It's the size of the smallest possible stage on which the monster can even perform. I mean, come on, that is no coincidence. It's proof that the deep symmetries of this giant are somehow encoded into the fundamental vibrations of our cosmic code. So, at the end of the day, is this the source code of existence? The system we've just walked through suggests that if it is, reality isn't some chaotic scream of random events. It's a universe operating on a precise mathematical score, a reality that hums in the quiet, divine harmony of a perfect fifth.